Hey there, everybody. As you can see behind me, there is dirt on my driveway. Spring is here, starting to. I mean, yeah, there's still 2 feet of snow over here, but some of the local maple syrup collectors, the big guys, I don't know how many tens of thousands of trees Matthew's maple syrup does, but they were actually collecting syrup 2 weeks ago. We had a warm spell, and then it got cold again. So spring is on the move, kind of, coming towards us, maybe, I'm hoping. Fishing is done this week, 2 more days of fishing, and then the shacks have to be off the lake at the end of March. And I think you'd be a dummy to leave your shack out there any longer than the next week because things are starting to melt. Let's do a loop around the trail with Mr. Gage, check the property, and talk about spring. A little bit of a channel update, guys. Coming up this week, I did a fantastic session. So my dad brought me a photo album that's from like the 1920s, or I don't know, it's got metal photographs in there. He did chisel this out of the floor of his house before they demolished it, and he threw it in his car and forgot about it, and it was all wet and kind of soggy. I've got a video for you guys on that. You guys can look at some of my ancestry, where I come from, and then we do a really cool spirit box session at the end of it. And let me tell you guys, the first 2 words that come out, like I find this photo with a name scratched on the back of it. I don't know who this woman is, and I'm gonna have to do some research. I believe it says Aunt. The spirit box says Aunt, but I asked the spirit box to say her name, and it actually does, and it is not a common name. Elta, E-L-T-A is what is written on the back of this photo. I don't know anybody with that name. I've never said that name. So for everybody who thinks that the phone just listens to us and, you know, repeats these things, I did not say her name in front of the phone. I held up the picture and I said, please, the woman in this photo, can you come through and say your name? And it says my name, and then it says Elta. Clear as can be. So check out Wednesday's video coming out, guys. And you'll see, like I say, we'll go through this really cool old, like 100-plus-year-old photo album, and then the session is at the back, and there's some cool answers in there. So stay tuned for that this week. Oh, Tom's little hot tent. Nobody's around today. Looks like it's holding up all right. We had a bit of a windstorm come through the other day, so we had to do some trail cleanup. And I'm not sure, there might be more to do. I obviously didn't bring any saws or anything today. I'm just hiking the trail. I'll take note of where things are down. It's never-ending work having trails through these swamps, but it's very rewarding if you're out hiking them, you know, taking the dog, he loves it, doing photography, trail cameraing, doing stuff like that. The trails are invaluable. And the animals use the trails too because it's the easiest place for them to go. So kind of as a neighborhood unit, we all kind of take turns and try to keep these things as clear of debris and fallen stuff as we can. We are going to have to start doing some new Bigfoot stuff because everything is uploaded. It is now, we've come down to the final, I think there's 3 or 4 episodes for you guys to finish watching, and then that series is fully uploaded. Anything and everything from that point on is going to be new stuff, so we're going to have to get out here and do some early spring sessions. I've got some ideas to get out here and do a bunch of wood knocking at night. And just see, I know I always said we wouldn't do that because, you know, if other people hear that, then they answer. But we're going to go deeper into the swamp is what I want to do. Go way back there, like 1.5 miles where nobody should be in the middle of the night. Maybe even camp out. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, whether I want to camp out or not. I'm getting too old for that, guys, camping in the snow. But we'll definitely go out, maybe have a fire, bang some sticks, and see if we can get responses. I have not noticed any knocking lately. I haven't been in the woods a lot. I hurt my knee playing squash, so now I've got like a twisting injury, and walking these icy trails it doesn't help because I'm constantly, my feet are sliding sideways, and it's aggravating my knee injury. So today is like the first time in probably a week and a half that I've been out here on the trails. We also need to move the hunting blind back here further too. I know where I want to put that one. It's about a quarter mile behind the creepy corner. It's a place that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up, and that's why I want to put the hunting blind there, because I don't really want to go there. And I thought, you know what? That's where we got to go. Where my gut is telling me, hey, I don't like being here, that's where we got to go. Makes sense to me, right? If you want to find paranormal activity in the swamp or knocking, strange whistling, whatever, it's going to be in the places that Gary's senses tell him, don't go. Comment below if you think that's nuts, but hey, I think that's what I'm going to do. I've been thinking about where I want to put that blind, and we've been down that trail before. It's the trail that ends in a little bit of a clearing, and there's some old metal chairs there from like the 1950s, and behind it is the big open swamp in behind. So there's nothing there, and it's quite a ways back there. So that's my plan. Some of you guys know that I've been I'm not doubting the necrophonic, but I want better answers, right, from the Spirit Box apps. It just seems to me that, you know, if the spirits are taking the time to interact with us, they would give us better answers than the nondescript. They're not specific. You know, if you ask them a question quite often, they'll say something that is the correct answer but doesn't make sense to the person asking the question, like myself, right? And I can give you guys lots of examples about that. Like, we did a session in the hot tent, and we were asking about a family friend who died, Clayton, unexpectedly, and it said stroke. Apparently the family thinks he did die of a stroke. I had no idea at the time. Again, there are things that are said by the Spirit Box that don't even make sense to me, or I don't put together as being part of the story, and then I find out later, you know, and this happens all the time, especially when we were doing research on the 10-part murder series that we did, right? I would ask questions, I would get answers, and then I would find answers in the newspaper or through research, and yes, it was part of the story. So I definitely think there is more to this. I don't know if it's worth it to try another app, a different app. I don't think it matters, right? If the spirits are actually communicating through these apps, does it matter which one we used? I don't know. So, on that note, I do have something coming up. We are going to try to test the validity of these responses. Again, you guys know me. I'm always doing tests, right? My aunt watched the video about the family. We've done a couple of them on great-grandma and great-grandpa and Aunt Audrey and all those stories that I've been telling you guys about. And my aunt comes over to the house every week. She cleans and visits, and we chit-chat, and I said to her, I want you to come back to my house with 10 questions that I can ask the Spirit Box. Things that only you would know the answers to, that you would remember from when you were a kid, or family stories or things like that, that I wouldn't know. And I said, that way, and don't give me the answers, is what I told her. That way, when I ask these questions and I get my interpretation from listening to it on the computer, do we get the right answer? It's kind of, again, it's a blind test for necrophonic. So, I actually thought what we could do is we could actually double test necrophonic by me doing a session and saying, what are some of the things that Aunt Angie is going to ask about, right? Because I don't know what she's going to ask about. Can they give us answers before we even do the test? So like a double test. Do you guys want to do that right now? I've got my phone in my pocket. We could. Let's do it. I was just thinking this could be the perfect way to double test necrophonic. All right, necrophonic test right here. Aunt Angie is going to ask, 10 questions or thereabouts that only she would be able to confirm. So if you can tell us, what's the first thing Aunt Angie is going to ask about? I heard it say secrets. What does that mean? Doesn't mean anything to me offhand. But you know what? This is a case where maybe it'll make sense. So, she's going to ask about secrets. Okay. Well, I don't know. How many questions is Aunt Angie going to ask? What are some of the family names that Aunt Angie is going to ask about? Can you say the family names? Can we have maybe that person in the photograph whose name I mentioned earlier? Can they say something? I swear it said Elta. Elta, are you here? Elta, were you an aunt of mine? I'm going to have to ask my aunt. I'll show her that photograph. Maybe she knows. I have no idea whose side of the family she was on. Grandma's side, Grandpa's side. You know, if she was an aunt, how did that fit in? Did she marry a sibling? Or was it... It could even be one of their kids. So even if it was one of their kids, would still be an aunt of mine if one of their kids married Elta. This is Elta. This is the image that we were talking about, and on the back it says her name right there.